In today's YouTube video, I'm going to be showing you how we create this photo right here, down from the styling to the lighting to my thought patterning, problem solving, all the things. I'm also going to show you the progression of how you can still take an amazing photo using a one light setup and how we progress to 4 different lights and the purpose of each light. I'm going to be chatting about all the gear that I use, and you're going to be seeing the workflow in real time so that you can take all these tips and apply it to your own photo shoots. Let's get stuck in. So the first decision I'm trying to make is what background to put as my surface, because we have this plain baby pink surface, which will work really nicely, but we also have this bold and striking checkered red and pink backdrop. And honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards this because my vision was something bold, exciting, fun, and this screams way more fun than the plain backdrop. So I know red isn't necessarily in the branding of this specific brand, but because this is also a personal project, it doesn't really matter that much. However, we can always change the red squares to a hot pink to match the product a little bit more if I find I'm not enjoying this look. So we have that option in Photoshop as well. So now it's time to choose our props. Honestly, I don't have any very specific styling props that I'm like, I must have that. I'm really just kind of going with the flow for this one, letting the creativity just go wherever it needs to go. So we're gonna have a look at what we can gather. So today we are shooting this baby pink gin. Now, I only have one bottle, so we need to mimic the color of this in a glass. So we have some pink food coloring and soda water. And then basically, if we need to alter anything, we'll just change it inside of Photoshop. We also have some garnish, so some rosemary. We've got some raspberries because raspberries are actually part of the botanicals inside of this gin. And a lemon for a pop of color. So we have what I call our base styling down. These are kind of the minimal foundations that I want to have in the photo to get started. So what I'm gonna do now is basically dial in my lighting. I'm gonna take the shot, and then from there, we're gonna see what else we can do with this scene. So the way that I kind of build my scenes is I'll take my first shot with my base foundations, and then I'll work out, okay, how can I make this even more elevated? How can I create a little bit more of a story around this scene? And we start building on the foundations from there, and I'll show you that whole process. Now, just like our styling, I'm also going to be building up our lighting. So I'm going to show you a 1 light setup, a 2 light setup, and a 3 light setup. If we need more, then we might do more. But essentially, this is the 1 light setup. So we have a Godox AD600 Pro on the right-hand side, bare bulb. So I'm going for that more of a hard light, harsh look for this scene. And then because we are only using 1 light, I want to illuminate the other side of my scene and kind of bring up the shadows a little bit. So to do that, I'm using a white foam board. These are literally like $10 from your local hardware store. They're extremely handy to have in your kit. And I'm just placing that on the opposite side of my strobe light. So essentially what the strobe is gonna do, it'll flash. The flash will bounce off the white foam board, and it'll bounce back onto the scene, illuminating the other side. Now, if you are going for something a bit more dark and moody, you might want to use black foam board. So it really depends on the look that you're going for. So let's take that shot and see how it's looking. I just wanted to quickly interrupt this video for a sec because if you're watching this, then you might be interested in building your own product photography business where you get to work with your favorite brands, do this full time, and get paid really well for it. I created Become a Brand Photographer because I was frustrated of the lack of education around building an actual business when it comes to product photography. There are a lot of things to navigate, like how to price your work, licensing, how to do pre-production so that you don't have to go back and reshoot anything, pitching yourself, actually getting visible and getting noticed by brands, and so much more. And if there's one thing that I've learned in my 7 years in business, it's that when you are able to marry your practical photography strategy with the necessary business skills and mindset training to help you get over hurdles like imposter syndrome, comparison, self-doubt, all of that stuff that can hold you back from your potential, there wasn't any course out there that did all of those three things. And so that's why I created Become a Brand Photographer. I want all of my students to have every chance of success. And it's that combination of knowledge and learning that is truly going to catapult your business way more quickly. There are over 1,300 people inside Become a Brand Photographer, which is wild to me. It's an incredible community of other photographers. We all get to chat inside the private Facebook group. And so if you would love to join, I'm going to leave that link below if you'd like to check it out. Of course, if you have any questions, you're not sure if it's going to be the right fit, please send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email. I am so happy to chat, but let's get back to the video.
All right, now here we are inside of Photoshop, and I just want to show you a background replacement that I've been playing around with using AI. This is the one light setup photo. I've done a very basic color grade, and really my thought patterning was, okay, this is nice, but can we elevate it? Like, can we make this background a little bit more interesting? So I'm gonna switch on the AI layer here, and I'm just gonna run through some of these variations. So I basically typed in for the prompt, pink curtain, and it honestly blows my mind just how realistic this is. I really love this one. I think this really suits the branding and the vibe of this image. I actually really love this as well. I think we'd have to clean up this little bit of a yellow in the background, but it's absolutely wild to me how it can also just extend the surface back more and just make it look so realistic. I also played around with like a pink garden, pink chair backdrop. I mean, obviously it's not perfect in some of the images and you can see those little discrepancies here, but like replacing this background using AI, I think has elevated the photo. So I think I'm gonna go with this version, and I'm also gonna do this version as well. I think this one's my favorite.
Okay, let's move ahead to add in our second light, and I'm putting this on the left-hand side. My first step is to put up my diffusion paper. I shoot a lot with diffusion paper instead of a softbox because I find that the diffusion paper just casts a wider net of light onto my scene. It just scatters the light more, and I just really enjoy the look of it. And then we've got a Godox AD600 Pro behind that diffusion paper, and that's just going to illuminate the left-hand side of my scene. Now you can actually see when we add the second light, there's not too much difference between the one light setup and the white foam board and adding in that second light with diffusion. So it just proves that you can get away with one light and a white foam board and you're gonna get a really beautiful photo. Now I do actually need the second light because I'm going to be adding a third light in, which is gonna be my backlight on the ground behind the product to give it that beautiful glow. Now, because we're also dealing with glass, so it's transparent, we've got the bottle and the glass itself, we need to backlight or side light our products to illuminate it, to make it look really beautiful. If you lit it from the front, it's gonna look very flat. So when you're dealing with this type of material, you really wanna side light it or backlight it so that the light shines through the product. So So this is how it's looking so far. Now we're building upon our styling, our story, our lighting. And the thing that I'm noticing is this terrible line here on the product. Now you probably could just easily Photoshop that out, but I would much rather deal with things in camera. So what's happening here is this light here is causing that reflection. So we need to flag that off from the actual product bottle so we don't get this line. So we're going to do that. Now, in order to flag it off, we're just going to put a white foam board here. It's going to sit nicely there. Okay. And really all that's doing is blocking this strobe light from hitting the side of the product. So the light is going only here now onto me instead of onto the product. So that's all that's doing there. When it comes to your lighting, it's really about problem solving these little things. So I've dialed in my lighting. I'm pretty happy with it. We actually have 4 lights and I'll run that through with you in a second. I'm just going to finish off my styling. So I have my base foundation photo that I'm perfectly happy with. But now I just want to add a couple more things to see if we can elevate the storytelling of this image and just create a little bit more of a vibe. So we've taken our final shot. I'm super happy with it. It's fun, it's bold, it's bright, it's pink, and I'm gonna give you a set tour now of what is going on here. So let's go. So firstly, we have our backdrop here. This one is a solid plain pink color from Propsyland. The reason why I love their backdrops is because they don't have that grain, that grainy texture, and they're non-reflective. So we've just got it clamped to a C-stand, and that is our backdrop. And then we have our set design. So I just wanted everything to be fun and pink. The vibe that I guess I have in my mind now is like girl sleepover vibes, right? Like you're having a gin with your girlfriend, you're having some pizza, maybe you're gonna have a cocktail later, and it's just a good time, you know? Now we've got some feathers here that are framing the left side of my scene, and we've got a cocktail shaker, this like random little pink ring hand stand, a fake pizza box, some pink deck cards, a couple of pink dice, obviously the product, and then gold to complement the pink. I wanted to have those gold touches because to me, gold signifies luxury. This isn't like a teenager sleepover club. This is like, I know, you're in your late 20s and you're having a girlfriend over. And then of course, then we have myself as part of the scene. All right, so let's just run through our lighting. Now, we have a light on our left with diffusion paper. I've also put a pink gel on that light because what that pink gel does is just soften that whiteness of the image. And you'll see here side by side that difference. It's very subtle, but it does make a difference to the image in my personal opinion. We then have our key light on the right, hard light, no softbox, no modifier. It's giving that really beautiful glow on the product. Now, we have our little light here on a stand. I've already gone through flagging that light off and why we did that. But essentially this light here, and I do have a hood on this just to direct the light a little bit more, it's illuminating myself. So it's illuminating more of like the drink I'm holding, my sleeves, and more of my body because I want to make sure that I'm not in like darkness. So that's the purpose of that light there. Now the fourth and final light is a light right here next to me, and we have another pink gel on this one. This pink gel is slightly darker, but what this is doing is illuminating the left side of me, my right, your left. So because when I was looking at my framing, I was still getting some of this background in, some of this like area over here next to me, but it was too dull. I really wanted that beautiful glowy look. So that is our lighting. Now you can really see the whole creative process we've gone through from start to finish, where we started with this and we finished with this. So from one light to 4 lights to a little bit more of a styled scene. Now you can get a really beautiful photo with just one light, and that's what I wanted to show you in this video. But when you start to expand your understanding of lighting and how to problem solve using lighting on your scene to create different looks, to really expand the creativity of your image, that's when you expand your skills a lot more. And I have found personally for myself, it's been my expansion of knowledge on lighting that has elevated my work, and you can see that creative process here today. Now there's one last thing to chat about, and that's the camera gear. So we are using a Canon R5. I love my Canon R5. We're using a 100mm lens, the Canon L series. I also have a star filter on there. So I'm actually using 3 different star filters, and that's why you see those little sparkles in these areas of the photo. That's the star filter. You can add those kinds of effects in post-production in Photoshop, but I think it's also really fun to use star filters or any other kind of creative filter that is going to give you a different look. It just adds another element of creativity to your image. So that is our camera gear. And last but not least, let me just walk you through my camera settings. So our shutter speed is 1/200. Our f-stop is at 14 and our ISO is at 100. And here are those final photos again. I honestly love how both of these setups have turned out. If you do have any questions, drop a comment below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.